live in a two-dimensional world.
We won't go in one direction or dig where we can zag.
We will walk through walls. We will take a look around us.
We will not be confined.
We believe in the path of least limits.
We won't be told how to view the world.
We will experience true freedom. We will not compromise. We will live the game through our hands. We will be in control of something. We will change the system.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of WolfWare Reviews. I'm here with Sam.
In this show, we plan on giving you the specifications of the consoles as well as a little bit of history. Also, the unique and separate perspectives of the retro gamer and the modern gamer.
After many years of 3D experimentation with the Super Nintendo, Nintendo decided to finally up the ante with the next generation system, the Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64 was much more powerful than the Super Nintendo. The Nintendo 64 had a 93.75 MHz CPU, which was 32-bit, a 64-bit 62.5 MHz GPU, 4 megabytes of RAM, which can be upgraded with the Nintendo 64 expansion pack. Games usually ran at 240p or 240 interlaced. There was also the Nintendo 64 DD, or disk drive for short. It was only released in Japan through a Nintendo Power magazine, and only had a lifespan of about 2 years of support. It used online capabilities as well as had a keyboard and mouse and certain adapters that you can include into it. It also used the technology similar to zip drives, which were popular back then.
As for expansions, we have the expansion pack, which increased the RAM in the machine. Then we have the rumble pack, which was basically a vibration feature before they were built into controllers. And then memory cards, which are only useful in some games, like Perfect Dark, for instance.
But after all said and done, hardware isn't everything. Here are a list of games that we personally chose for you.
The first game from my side of things is Worms Armageddon, which is a little strategy game that's a lot more fun when you're playing it with somebody sitting right next to you. And with this kind of game, the controller seems to work. My next game is 007 The World's Not Enough, which, besides being an all-around fun game, the controls are a little sticky as the controllers for the N64 aren't particularly made for first-person gaming. It wasn't exactly a popular trend at the time.
Mario!
My final game is Super Mario 64, which was Nintendo's first foray into 3D platforming, and it served as a launch point for other games like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro the Dragon. While this game is fun to play, I don't think it's aged very well. And speaking from the perspective of somebody who probably hasn't played the N64 as much as I'm sure many other people have, I don't think the controller is particularly bred for 3D platforming either. I think the controls stick a little, and I don't think it's really a game you want to play if you lose your patience easily. That being said, I still think it's a very highly polished game, and is fun to play.
My first game is Paper Mario. Paper Mario is a sequel to Mario RPG. Since Mario RPG was developed by Square Enix, Nintendo had to rename the series to Mario Story in Japan, which was later renamed Paper Mario in other regions. The game looks and feels like what a Mario game made out of paper would be. It's definitely worth picking up for the gameplay alone. Another game is Bomberman 64. I tried so hard to get into Bomberman 64, but it's just so boring in my opinion. I know a lot of people are into this whole puzzle/RPG campaign, but the reason why I bought the game was for the multiplayer, which is just Bomberman 3D. I wouldn't recommend this game, but if you can find it cheap, go for it. Another game is Majora's Mask. I just don't like most 3D Zelda games. The N64 ones are no exception. Ocarina of Time is alright until you reach the adult temples, and Majora's Mask, while having better dungeons, has a time constraint. I just can't get into it because of that too. I know tons of people love this game and Ocarina of Time, but for me, I just don't like it. Another game is Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark is an example of a game that I think is way better than the well-known N64 FPS game GoldenEye. It's another game made by Rare, the same creators of GoldenEye. They sure did improve on what they did in GoldenEye. There's so much more content. Not only are there a ton of single-player missions, you can also roam around the Perfect Dark building and do various training missions like the VR room and the shooting range. Perfect Dark is definitely a game I recommend for anyone who has an N64 with an expansion pack. And finally, Pokemon Stadium. Pokemon Stadium is essentially Pokemon Red and Green's battles, but in 3D. Since my favorite part of Pokemon is battling, I really like this game. If you feel the same about Pokemon, then you should definitely check it out.
There is fun to be had here and there if you get into it, and even though I don't find it particularly mind-blowing, I can still have fun and respect this monolith of gaming industry. And besides the games mentioned, and the select other few, there aren't very many other games for the system that are very good. After Paper Mario, Nintendo's last game on the system, the N64 seemed to go into a game drought that it didn't particularly recover from. So Nintendo had to think up something to move forward, and they had quite a few ideas.